In this vid, I'm going to be reviewing Banana6256's Samurott Donphan deck. It's a little different than your standard Samurott Donphan deck. He's thrown in a few techs to account for some of the big meta decks out there, which I think is an excellent idea because he's going to be going to the 2011 Worlds competition. So I wish him lots of good luck, and hopefully I can give you some tips on tweaking your deck to make it a little bit better and give you a shot at that championship. So the first thing I noticed about this deck list was that it has 61 cards, and for a tournament legal deck you have to have 60. It's possible that I made a mistake when I was writing the deck down, and it's also possible that you did the same, and so you actually may be very well playing with a 60 card deck. But just in case, that's definitely something you need to get straight before you fill out your deck sheet, is making sure you have only 60 cards in the deck. You run a 3/3 Donphan Prime line, which I think is very strong. Essentially, this is a Donphan Samurott deck, so running 3/3 I think is perfect. I wouldn't change that up a bit. You run a 3/3/3 Samurott line. You run 2 of the ability Samurotts and 1 of the non-ability Samurotts. This is for sniping off babies. As well as, I think, yeah, your only sniper in the deck. So I definitely think that's a strong line. You may not need the 3/3/3 though. You might be safe going to a 3/2/3 because you do run the rare candies, and you also run the junk arms to reuse those rare candies. So I would probably say that you're pretty safe with 3/2/3, but again, that's your personal choice. So that is your typical Samurott Donphan deck. He also throws in a 2/1/2 line of Magnezone Prime. Biggest reason, I believe, is for the magnetic draw power, just to constantly keep cards in your hand. But at the same time, it can be a backup attacker in order to Lost Burn to be able to one-hit some pretty tough Pokemon. I think a 2/1/2 line is very strong, very consistent, and I wouldn't change that up a bit. He throws in 1 Reshiram. And this is pretty much, a lot of people have been throwing in 1 Reshiram into every Donphan deck to counter the Kingdra's. Kingdra's, I believe it's Dragon Steam attack, does 60, which to Donphan, which is weak to water, which would be doing 120. But if a fire Pokemon is in play, that base damage is reduced from 60 to 20. So having a Reshiram just chilling on your bench is an excellent tech, and I think this is a really good idea. The tech that I'm not a fan of, though, is the Zekrom. I think I can understand why you put it in here. You know, it's nice and quick and is pretty powerful. But you already have the Electric Magnezone, and yeah, I just really don't think the Zekrom is needed. So I think this is a card that can easily be dropped. Some things I think you should add, while I would hate to, actually start with this, 1 Tyrogue. There's so many babies running around that you don't want to miss the opportunity to get that first turn donk and, and either take the first prize or potentially put you in a good, winning the game if you can donk them completely. You can also throw Cleffa in for a little hand refresher to help get yourself set up. But again, if you're finding that in playtesting you're just getting donked a lot, the safer bet may be just to either include no babies at all or just include the Tyrogue. I really do like just the Tyrogue idea, just so you can get that donk. But again, that's completely up to you. Taking a look at your well, let's see, let's go to your energy line first. You run 2 DCE, which I think is more than enough. Samurotts, actually both Samurotts can work off of DCE. They don't need any water energy at all. So I think that's a big help, but again, it's not needed. So that's why I think you're good at 2. You don't need to go up to 4. 6 fighting, I would probably increase that to 7 or 8, just because there may be times you want to attach a lot to Donphan to, I believe it's heavy impact rather than earthquake, and so you don't damage your bench. And in order to adjust for that 6 fighting energy, I think you can lower your electric energy down to 3 or 4, because especially if you're going to drop Zekrom, you really don't need that much energy for Magnezone Prime. So I think decreasing the electric to increase the fighting would be an excellent balance. Taking a look at your trainers and supporters, I think you've got a pretty solid list. You've got a good amount of hand refreshers. You run 3 Professor Oak's New Theory as well as 2 Judge. The Judge is excellent, especially once you get your Magnezone Prime up. You judge your opponent, and then you can just draw a few more cards. You might want to consider throwing in one Juniper. I do see just one Juniper in quite a few decks, but again, you know, it's a tricky situation. You know, you might end up really hurting yourself on a Juniper, and you might end up really helping yourself. So Pawn is definitely the safer and more consistent play, but Juniper can certainly help get you out of binds. Right now, you're only running 2 Collector. I personally would feel much more comfortable with that being 3. If you don't have another Collector, throwing in a dual ball as an addition, but I do like 3 cards to search for basics. And the biggest thing with being able to search for the 3 basics is even if you don't need a basic, you can always throw it back in with communication to get the stage 1 or stage 2 that you need. You don't run any Elm to search for those evolution cards, so I think the higher combination of collectors and or dual balls with a combination is probably a better choice. You do run 2 communication, that might be able to go up to 3, but at the same time you do run 3 junk arm, so you'll be able to reuse those communications if you need it. You currently run 3 plus power. I don't really think plus power is necessary in this deck. For Magnezone, you know, it's great if you want to one-shot those Donphans, but I don't think you need 3 of them. I think you can be safe with 1 or 2 and just relying on Junk Arm to reuse them if absolutely needed, but I think 3 is a little bit too much. You run 3 candy, which I think is actually good. You might be able to drop that down to 2, but at the same time 3 is not a bad number considering you have 2 stage 2 lines and essentially you have 5 stage 2 Pokemon in your deck. So 3 rare candy is probably not too much of an overkill, but you could probably go down to 2 and still be safe. You run 3 Pokemon Reversal. I would definitely keep that there. This is such a flippy card that I think having a higher number of reversals, just in case you keep on flipping tails, is a great idea. And the reversals are what's going to be winning you games, honestly. If you can flip heads, you know, this format really is all about the flips. So including another reversal, just in case, I think is a great idea. You currently run, how many switch? You run 3 switch. While I do think that you should run more than 1 switch in the Donphan deck, I don't think you need to run more than 2. Again, Junk Arm will allow you to reutilize them if absolutely necessary, so I think you'll be safe with 2 switch. You also run 2 Super Scoop Up. Personally, I'm not a fan of Super Scoop Up just because it makes this deck so much more reliant on coin flips. So what I would probably pair instead of the Super Scoop Up is a guaranteed being able to pick up your Pokemon. Seeker. This could potentially help out your opponent, but at the same time it could also hurt your opponent. So I would probably recommend running the switch with the Donphan and the Samurott, and then just being able to Seeker it back up into your hand, and that way it's just a little more consistent than the Super Scoop Up. And it looks like that's about it for your deck. The one thing that I did not see in here that I think is a big necessity is a Flower Shop Lady. Right now, you don't run Flower Shop, Energy Retrieval, anything like that. I don't think you really need the Energy Retrieval in this deck, but I think you definitely need the Flower Shop. You just never know if you're going to get a bad start and lose a lot of critical basics early on and need a little bit of recovery with Flower Shop. And this is a personal choice. I'm not quite sure how fast this deck is, but just in case you're coming back from behind or need to come back from behind, I do like to throw 1 Twins into every deck just in case. But overall, I really like this deck, and I wish you the best of luck at Worlds. I think just a few little tweaks, and I think this deck has a really good shot. Magnezone Yanmega is a pretty powerful deck out there right now, and I think this can do a decent job of standing up to it. It's got the Electric with Magnezone. It's got the Fighting with Donphan to counter for those weaknesses in both for both Pokemon, and I think you have a really good shot. So, like I said, good luck at Worlds, and if you want your deck submitted, just PM me the list. Thank you for watching.